Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the MGC Pharmaceuticals investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please simply type in your question at any time and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it's appropriate to do so. We have a number of polls to submit to you, which I will submit now, and your participation would be most grateful. I'd now like to hand over to CEO Robbie Zomer. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning. And to the presentation will join me our new CCO, our Chief Commercial Officer, Rob Clements, and our new CFO, Angela Marie. Both of them will be part of the call, and also it's good that you will know them as part of our new UK headquarters of the company. And we will start with a presentation. So MGC, existing since 2015, we started as an ASX listed company, and through the time we grew up to become more and more pharmaceutical company, but with operation in the European Union. And recently, last year, we listed on the LSE, and as such, we started to move our headquarters to the UK. And as for today, we have our head of the headquarters in the UK with our UK listing, our research and development center in Slovenia. It was our first GMP facility granted in late 2018, and now producing our investigational product to our different clinical trials. We have our Maltese, our new large-scale manufacturing facility, which construction has been completed, and now we are in the process of getting the GMP certificate. We are under the review of the drug agency. And in Israel, during last year, we acquired a Medicanel clinical research management that managing our ongoing global clinical trials. The company is focused on various of products such as epilepsy, dementia, and Alzheimer, and COVID-19, but I will explain on them shortly. Our vision is to treat unmet condition, to do it with inspired by nature medicine. We're using botanical and herbal active substances, and the idea is to bring a new nature of medicine to the market, as we see it, the work of plant-based or plant-inspired medicine that are covering much more indication, but also working in a multiple receptor that giving us something that is more like a golden blanket for treatment rather than the silver bullet that the industry is working today. And this is our holistic view of how to bring the new age of medicine to the market. The company holding various foundation and principle. First of all, we're working on an innovative basis. We're trying all the time to find the best formulation that we can do. We combine different active substances from nature and exploring all the time the best that we can bring as a medicine, and of course to meet the second part that it will be affordable as a medicine to the market. The second part is our core value as ESG. We're working in the environment that we want that will have responsibility on our medicine and on our patient, from being affordable up to an ecosystem and environmental responsible. The company holding two arms. One of them, it's our plant-inspired medicine innovation, where we have new formulation, innovative formulation. Some of them are even patented, and we have new discoveries through these processes. And the second part, which is a generic, it's a medical cannabis formulation. As the industry have divided the medical cannabis industry in whole into several segments, where you have the supplement and the lifestyle consumer good. In the middle, you have the medical cannabis or cannabis for medical indication, which are generic formulations as the industry using, where it's from flowers to tinctures and similar product. And then we have the innovative medicine that are more closer to the pharma industry as we know. So MGC holding on one side the innovative part where we can see our products that are going through the clinical trials like Canapil, Cognican, Symmetra, etc. And we have our generic formulation, which are at the moment the MP product line, the flowers, and the products that are sitting under the medical cannabis. We don't have uniqueness on the formulation. We're bringing a premium. We're working on the high quality and affordable price that give us a uniqueness in the industry. As a pharma company, as a biopharma company, we're trying to tap into the two worlds of the traditional and modern pharma market, as well as a herbal medicine market and the cannabis market as a plant-based and plant-inspired biopharma company, where we're investing most of our money and most of our effort in creating a new discoveries and new IPs that will lead us into a registered medicine. The company, over the time, and especially in the last 12 months, increased the sale portfolio. As we can see, we have our center profit, which is the medical cannabis product, the medical cannabis formulation, like the MP line, which currently are being sold in Australia, in the UK, and Brazil. There are the core company sales. On top of it, as we can see over the last year, we start to enter with a supplement, and the leading supplement is Artemic, products that had the discovery on the phase 2 studies in the treatment of COVID-19. This product is at the moment as a supplement, and it's being sold through Swiss Pharmacan, a company that we signed with them, and recently also AMC start to order Artemic to United States. And we can see in the red line as innovative medicine, leading by Canapil, that slowly increasing his market share. And on top, we have also revenue from services as part of the acquisition of Medicanel. We're also granting revenues from providing services, clinical management services to third parties. As such, we're building the portfolio of our sales. Need to say, in the innovative market, what we see as a red line, this is the line that we need to be more focused on it. The profitability of the innovative medicine eventually is much higher in the industries than the profitability of generic formulation. And this is where the focus of the company will be, to increase as much as possible this red group, together with the sales of Canapil, Cognican, and soon to enter also Symmetra. The company, as a pharmaceutical company, an innovative company, have several products in our clinical product line. Symmetra is our leading product, is at the moment in phase 3 in site in Israel, and also those finding studies that are happening in parallel to the phase 3, which interim results we released recently. The studies will expand following the approvals that we got in South Africa, and we'll get soon more sites, but also more patients that we are recruiting globally. Unfortunately, we've been through the summer period, and COVID-19 was less of a concern alongside with vaccines, but we're still recruiting, and I will update more on the future of Symmetra. Our second product is Cognican, a product that is designed to treat dementia and Alzheimer side effect and improve quality of living with dementia and Alzheimer. The product has finished the phase 2, and we're looking how to enroll it into the next step. Canapil, our product to treat refractory epilepsy, at the moment entering into phase 2B, has completed a safety study and driving skill study that we released not a while ago. Then we have in our preclinical pipeline our Unican, the treatment for glioblastoma, which we release also publication around it, and I will expand shortly more. And Topican, all products that were designed to treat psoriasis and eczema and seborrheic dermatitis. This product started in the early stage of the company as part of our cosmetic and dermatological development, and soon we will try to enroll it into the next step as a medicine. Our two leading products, our Symmetra, as an anti-inflammatory agent, and our Canapil for treatment of refractory epilepsy. I will start with Symmetra as our flagship product. The product started as a food supplement Artemic during the burst of the COVID pandemic. We saw the merit of and the potential of the Artemic through the phase 2 studies that were conducted in Israel and in India. And then we transmit the product from a food supplement to a medicine named Symmetra. And we continue with the trials. We enter into phase 3 and to dose finding study. We also started the submission worldwide on emergency approval for this product. The process is still ongoing. We didn't get a rejection from any drug agency, but as a medicine that need to compete with the giant ones like Pfizer and Merck, we still need to provide additional data that is now being collected and compiled. And the dialogue with the drug agency is still ongoing, so there was no withdrawal of any submission of the request to approve the medicine. And one of our leading partnership in United States with AMC, there's a leading engine to take Symmetra to United States as part of the large agreement. They also grant us with a down payment of $1 million as part of the order. The product itself is now running through several ongoing preclinical trials to continue and to learn about the mechanism of action of the product, and also to see the future of the product, not just as a COVID-19 treatment. We're speaking about anti-inflammatory and the cytokine storm, and we need to understand, according to the publications that we did recently, the product is targeting several receptors on the interleukin that help us to modulate the mRNA in our protein, and as such to modulate the production of the cytokine storm. The cytokine storm are not limited just to COVID-19 and also have a big impact on other viral infection and other inflammatory disorders, such as arthritis, influenza, pneumonia. And this indication, we will try to increase the marketing authorization of the product. At the moment, we increase the span of the recruitment of the patient also to ambulatory patient, and we'll try to recruit more patients to increase the pace of the clinical trial and to get it into completion. The product is our leading product, as I say, and we have already the commercial pipeline and commercial obligation from various companies to distribute it, such as AMC, and we'll continue to push it forward. The second product that we consider it as a flagship product is Canapil, a product that's designed to treat refractory epilepsy. The product is development of years in the industry, where we saw through several observational studies led by our doctors and our colleagues, were in Israel and in Europe. Afterwards, we also started with the treatment under early patient access scheme in Australia. We start to collect data about the product. We also submitted driving skill studies that also being used as a safety study. The product is combination of two leading active ingredients from the cannabis plant, CBD and THC. The product is at the moment is being prescribed in several countries, and the leading one is Ireland, where recently it's being approved under the cannabis access scheme and is now being fully covered by the National Health Insurance. And again, this is one of the leading products that now entering into phase 2 study. And this product, beside being able to treat the drug-resistant epilepsy, we also see that in compared to other products that is on the market, the product able to get to the same reduction of seizures by using less active substances, which leading into two elements. First of all, the product will be much more affordable than the other products that on the market. And the second part is we need less active ingredient, meaning we'll have less adverse event. And until today, we have 0 adverse event related to the product. This product is at the moment being prescribed in several countries, in Australia and the UK and Ireland under cannabis and early patient access scheme. The third product that also becomes solely available is Cognican, products that are designed to treat the quality of living in dementia and Alzheimer patient. The product has completed the phase 2 studies in Australia, and at the moment it started to be prescribed in Australia and other territories. This is also a product that shows very large interest by our partner AMC in United States, and also with our recent commercial agreement with Sciences Rare that are looking to commercialize it in Europe. The product will enter into the second phase of clinical trials, the phase 2B and phase 3. Once we will complete the phase 3 in Symmetra and the phase 2B in Canapil, not to overload the expenses and the cost of the company to run too many clinical trials in parallel. Yet the product will be able to prescribe through different early and special access scheme. So we're going to seal to tap the benefit and the merits that we see from the result of the phase 2 on this product into the market. The last product that is unique to speak about it and is part of our clinical trial at the moment, it's completed our 4 years of preclinical trials. Irnican is a product that we designed to treat glioblastoma, the most severe type of cancer and one of the hardest to treat. The glioblastoma, until today, for the last 50 years, there was no big breakthrough development in the treatment. What MGC was able to discover together with the National Institute of Biology in Slovenia, it's several things. First of all, we were able to identify 2 new receptors in the stem cell, and targeting the stem cell open us the ability to try to treat the glioblastoma cancer without creating a toxic environment around the tumor cell. And basically, MGC is targeting the stem cell. The stem cell are rebooting and creating and forcing the cancer cell to perform apoptosis. And by that process, we are able to treat the glioblastoma cancer. In compared to traditional and existing chemotherapy, we also compare the treatment together with the chemotherapy. We demonstrate that the efficiency of the treatment aside of the chemotherapy remains the same, and therefore we can apply the treatment without the need of chemotherapy eventually. The preclinical trials were done on something that's called organoid, which is a frontline of in vivo and in vitro studies. It's basically creating a new organ based on the biopsies that we took from the patient. And this allows us to learn much more about the efficiency and about the safety of the product on a real organ that generate from a biopsy from a real patient. This also helps us to check several different type of brain cancer tumors and to see that the results are getting from all of them consistently. The second part of the uniqueness of this product that it will be applied with a new drug delivery system, a nano formulation that work with the development combination with graph polymer, graph bio, and this will allow us to get the product into the brain and to target the stem cells that are in the brain, passing through the blood-to-brain barrier, but by reaching to nanoparticles that are below the 100 nanometer. As you can see, the investment and the effort that MGC is putting is not just in the formulation, but also in the drug carrier of the product. And we're trying all the time to bring new development to the market. So if we're trying to see the long term of the company, we'll be able all the time to bring new drug and new development as we move forward and to maintain our uniqueness in the industry and in the pharma market. As we indicated, the second arm of the company is a generic cannabinoid formulation. At the moment, these products are available through the Cannabis Access Scheme in different countries, from UK to Australia to Brazil. The company was also one of the first companies to import high THC formulation to Brazil, and at the moment, these products are being prescribed under the Medical Access Scheme. We'll continue to develop this cell of product, but the main focus of the company is a pharmaceutical, and this is where we're going to see more and more news coming from. Recently, the company also acquired 40% in the ZAM Medical app. The reason of the app as a B2B platform to help the clinic to prescribe and to learn better about their patient and to help the doctor to prescribe better formulation for the patient. For MGC, the clinical development, this application allows us to gap about 100 years of missing information in the cannabis sector. As we know, the pharma industry have years of learning, research, working with academy, working in preclinical and clinical trials. The cannabis was suffering from certain stigmas that delay and postpone a lot of the initiation of research with academy, in clinical, with drug agencies, etc. And basically, we need to find every time a new way to collect more data from the patient that are using general formulation and to try to learn better how we can retrieve a better formulation, how we can improve our existing formulation, and by that to be able to improve our proprietary, to create new patents and to create new formulation for the future. And by using AI algorithms that learn the patient, learn the way of how they're using the drug and learn the different formulations that they're using to treat different indication and different symptoms, is the information that in the end retrieve back to MGC more knowledge and more know-how on how to continue and to develop our pipeline and how to improve our existing formulation. On top of it, of course, the platform will help our clinic, such as a medical cannabis clinic in Australia and other clinics that we will work together in Europe to help the doctor to prescribe better and to learn the behavior and the pharma behavior of his patient, and basically to become the best assistant for the doctor, which can bring a better treatment to the patient and gives the patient a much better treatment and better attention from the doctor. The board of the company contain various people from different sectors that together we're able to compile a very responsible and understanding to the pharma industry and also to the capital market. With me on the board sitting Brett Mitchell, our non-executive chairman, who come from the capital market and help us to navigate between two listed platforms, the Australian Stock Exchange and the UK Stock Exchange. Together we have Stephen Parker, who is our senior independent director coming from the UK, vast experience also in the pharma and the capital market. Nativ Segev, our founder, coming from the cannabis industry, was one of the leading CEOs of cannabis company in Israel, which led into the foundation of MGC Pharma. Dr. Ross Walker, cardiology from Australia, helped us in the committee of the medical development. Evan Hayes coming from the industry in Australia and help us in the commercial side. And David Lim, our company secretary, again coming with vast experience in the capital market and in listed companies. Again, today that we are listed in two platforms, the work just increased. Into the board of directors, we have a very strong officer line. Ifat Stur, our new arrival to the company, and today our chief operating officer, and basically my right hand, coming also from the pharma industry, was working in JSK and Johnson & Johnson, and brings the company experience in managing organization, but also in the view of a pharmaceutical company. Angela Marie, our new CFO, that we presented in the beginning of the call, and Rob Clemens, also coming from the pharma industry. To the new team in the UK, we have also Itai, our manufacturing and supply chain officer, Nadia Lisovoder, Dr. Nadia Lisovoder, who came together with Medicanel, our chief medical officer, coming with a lot of experience in running of clinical trials and help us to build the new clinical trials and take us into the marketing authorization. Alongside to her, we have also Amir Polak, who's coming also from the pharma industry and today is leading our pharma development arm, and basically taking us into the pharmaceutical side from a concept on an idea up to a finished product that then it's being produced and provide to the industry. Yair, as an international company, we need to make sure that we are not under any risk of information and security, and this is where Yair come into place and help us to take the company into a proper pharmaceutical company, not just from the production, but also from the safety, from our patient, the information, and the production site. With this, we finish with the presentation. I want to thank you, and we will move to the question that you prepare for us.
That's great. Robbie, thank you very much indeed for updating investors this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of the screen. While the company take a few moments to review those questions you submitted today, I'd like to remind you that recording this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your Investor Meet Company dashboard. If I may hand back to you, Tim, if you'll be so kind, just to read out the questions from investors today and distribute those to management team as appropriate, and I'll pick up from you at the end.
Sure.
And in the meantime, I will just bring up everybody's cameras as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. We've had a number of questions on Symetra to start with, Robbie. So first question is about emergency approval for Symetra in India and the applications for emergency use in the CIS countries and Southeast Asian countries.
Okay. So as I mentioned during the presentation, we're still undergoing with Symetra. There was no stop of the process of registration of Symetra. We had said back in India, as I start to request more and more things that we are preparing for them, as well as from the CIS. Unfortunately, some of the countries as part of the CIS are now in a different situation that they need to face together with European Union, and not getting too much into this conflict. It's definitely create some slow in the response and the process, but we're still undergoing, and we will work hardly and closely to complete as much as possible. Our target is to be ready to submit a new investigational brochure to these territories by first Q 2023, and to proceed with the registration in the CIS, which are including Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, the former CIS countries, as well as United States, together with AMC, which are help us very closely to speak with the FDA and to push it forward, as well as the communication with India and of course some other territories that first of all, we still see the necessity of a treatment for COVID-19. We still see that the pandemic is there. It didn't disappear. But also, as we indicate when we published the result of our mechanism of action, we see Symetra as a much wider product. So we not just rely on the emergency approval for COVID-19, we're also looking on the wider range that will give the product the continuity and the place in the market also when the COVID will be over or will be manageable. So I'm not worried about this. I'm still not happy that we had this delay early this year, but we're still optimistic and positive in the ability to get Symetra across the line and to get the marketing authorization approval in various countries and to get the cell up and running.
Great, thank you. Also on Symetra, the phase 3 trials for Symetra, where they are and what happened, and the Brazilian testing sites as well.
So Symetra started the phase 3 right after we completed the phase 2 studies. But as a request from several drug agencies, we also been required to do the dose finding studies that are happening in parallel. And at the moment, these two trials are happening in parallel, and we will continue. In Brazil, we are negotiating with the drug agency and with the local CRM to get us the best result for money being invested in the clinical trials. We need to remember that when we are conducting clinical trials, Each patient that coming to the hospital need to be in a conflict between our product to other 5 or 10 different pharmaceutical companies that also offering their product. And what we need to do is all the time negotiate with the local investigators to prescribe our product in compared to Merck or Pfizer in this case. And of course, we are doing the best, but we need to remember that in the end, we are competing with the giants. So any progress that we are doing, and as long as that we didn't get a full stop on anything, it's a positive progress, even that it's slower than what we anticipate. In Africa, it's one of the sites that we announced that we got the approval. We're now working on the import permits and to get the first patient as soon as possible also in South Africa. So we will continue to update. Now, none of the sites has been stopped or stopped to be considered. We're just trying to bring the best that we can do per dollar for the company, meaning to try to find the best way to recruit more patients while we're competing with other pharmaceutical company on the same patient. It's not the pleasant to hear, but it's the reality, and we are doing the best we can to get as patient recruiting to Symetra without spending more money than needed.
Great, thanks, Robbie. And an update on the MGC Nutracell?
MGC Nutracell is still ongoing. It's being agreed with Onassis. Onassis had a slight pushback through the COVID pandemic delay and the capital market. But as you can follow on the announcements that Onassis has released to the market, they are progressing. They align several banks to support them, and they are going to still to proceed and to buy nutraceutical. Also from MGC perspective, it's still a major interest for this deal. Besides that, it will generate MGC income over the investments that we did in the development of our nutraceutical product. It also will allow us to carve out non-pharma activities and to focus more on the pharmaceutical side of the business. So the deal is still ongoing. It has its delay, but the investment and the efforts that Onassis put on the deal, they are definitely not going to back off and to retreat from this deal. Especially now that also we see that the changes in the environment in the United States, nutraceutical and supplement sector or any commercial good product in such sector in the United States, it's even more prudent and more welcoming according to the new regime and legislations that we see where America is moving forward to.
Great, thank you. Also an update on the JV in Russia.
Yeah. So the JV in Russia, as we announced right before the brink of the conflict, is still ongoing. MGC is basically holding directly shares in MGC Russia, and the activities are ongoing. But as a pharmaceutical development, where we are developing 2 new molecules in a cancer treatment, it's not something that happened over 1 year. It's a process of 3 years. We just completed the first year of this development of these 2 molecules. Once its submission will be completed with the drug agency, and we will move to the next step, which is the bioequivalent studies. We will update the market. Same as for Symetra and our TEMIC process in Russia. The project is still ongoing. It's not been stopped, and MGC holding directly more than 50% in the venture. And it's still a main interest for MGC to get into large markets. The CIS market contain more than 300 million people that through mutual recognition can be served, and especially when MGC trying to lead with a new formulation in this industry, it's very prudent to MGC to continue. And therefore, the JV, which now is a full partnership, is ongoing, and there is no stop.
Great, thank you. A couple more updates on the Canopil Plus trial that ran in the UK.
So the Canapil Plus trial in the UK has been split into two. First of all, patient in the UK received Canapil Plus through the early patient access scheme, which now is going to be enrolled to more commercial side together with a partnership and the agreement that we signed with Sciences Rare. So the patient in the UK, instead of continuing with Canapil Plus, will move back to Canapil, which allow us, together with the ZAM app, to retrieve more data and act as a continued observational study and data collecting. But due to some conflict and commercial conflict with the group in the UK, and for such sense, we decide to split aside and instead of using their platform, to have this platform in-house. And this led us to the acquisition of ZAM. At the beginning, it was just to complete the development of the platform in-house, and then to acquire also the AI algorithm and the learning machine to come as a back engine to the simple data collecting app. So the data collecting app is now being only used by MGC in-house. And on top of it, we have the AI algorithms that not just allow us to analyze the data, but also to help the doctors. So eventually, the patient receive product in UK, and we start to collect the data as a part of using the algorithm that was by the third party in the UK. This has been split away, and now it's going to be used in-house internally by MGC ZAM app.
Great, thank you. And the Artemic application, which was submitted to Health Canada for approval.
So Artemic, MGC have a distribution agreement, Artemic, with Swiss Pharmacan that are still ordering, not in the quantums that everybody predicted when the COVID was on the rise, but still order are ongoing. And Swiss Pharmacan have the agreement with Glow, who are the company which submitted to the Canadian Drug Agency. Glow, also as a public company, are the one who are responsible on the application, and we're waiting for update from them. As far as we know, and this was the last update also that we provide to the market, Glow are still negotiating with the drug agency and working on the application in Canada. As the application is not straightforward just for supplement, it was requested to be a bio supplement with also medical claims. So it will be in the border between a supplement to a pharmaceutical product, which means a slightly more complicated applications than just a supplement, but still trying to get it faster and easier than a straightforward medicine. For the meantime, I can say that AMC has progressed, as we announced recently, with Artemic order to United States and place order for 50,000 units of Artemic in United States. So even the delays that Glow Life have in Canada, it's still not stopping us to move forward and to provide the American market with Artemic. And we will update soon on the progress of this development and bringing Artemic to United States.
Thank you. A couple of questions on Symetra again. Has your view of the commercial opportunity for Symetra and Artemic changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and its evolution? And your views on the possibility of Symetra obtaining emergency use authorization in the US?
So it's slightly more complex than just a commercial, so I will answer it in two different phases. First of all, as Artemic Rescue, we have two products of Artemic, it's need to say. As Artemic Rescue has evolved into Symetra, we'll see in the future that Symetra is taking over the Artemic Rescue cell through a medicine with the ability to have a proper pharmaceutical and medical claim on the product. But also we'll see that Symetra, as we indicated, widen the marketing authorization claims and being able to prescribe not just for COVID-19, but also we hope for influenza, pneumonia, and even other inflammatory syndromes like arthritis, asthma, and etc. So we see the future and the commercial future not depend just on the COVID-19. and this is why we're still pushing the product, and we still see the interest from our distribution and commercial partners around the world to speak about Symetra. I do see that Artemic Rescue as a supplement has lost a little bit of its momentum. It's still being sold, and again, we just mentioned the 50,000 unit order to United States by AMC. But also we need to indicate that we have the Artemic support, which completed the studies in Spain on the long COVID. And as much as we see the intermediate treatment of COVID that was obtained by the Artemic Rescue and now for Symetra, we also identify a big problem as a long COVID or post-COVID symptoms that we see it still affecting on large population. And therefore, I see Artemic support as a supplement help in these scenarios, but also I see Symetra as a valid treatment. Again, once we were able to identify the mechanism of action, we're able to see the result of Artemic support on the studies in Spain, and through the learning curves that we are getting on Symetra, we will be able to see it not just treating the patients that suffering from COVID, but also patients that still have side effect from the long COVID will be able to treat. This is the aim and the potential directions that we see Symetra going for. So eventually it will be a mix as a potential of a supplement that we see it's a merit, and we see the result in different clinical trials and different clinical studies in large community such as Artemic. We're still going to see sales ongoing, and again, not just on COVID as anti-inflammatory agent. It says much more wider, but also we're going to see more and more sales and more demand coming for Symetra as we move forward. I hope it's answered, but it's not really just is Artemic is stopping or Artemic is going. It will be a combination of both of them, but definitely we not depend just on the COVID-19 and the pandemic as a product to the market.
Great, thanks, Robbie. A question on Canapil. Canapil and how and sales for Canapil, how they've been going.
So Canapil is at the moment a product that is under IMP, investigational medicinal product. So we are not, first of all, allowed to do marketing like a medicine. We're still under obligatory of special access scheme, early access scheme, cannabis access scheme, etc. So marketing is not something that we can do like a regular medicine. The sales are increasing. We see the sales are happening and catching in Ireland. But shortly, I will give also Rob to speak more about the sales and the developments that we see together with a partnership with Sciences Rare and AMC on this product. And as I say, once we got the health insurance coverage in Ireland, I do believe that as we move to 2023, we'll see the sales are increasing together with this contract that we have in place and the marketing effort. Rob, do you want to elaborate more on the sales?
Yes, and in fact, it's part of a broader question really for Canapil, because it ties in with the nature of the pharma side of our business. As Robbie has said, we have signed a strategic partnership really with Sciences Rare, which is formerly known as Healthcare at Home, a large, initially UK based but pan-European rare disease company that specializes in early access program and distribution. And that arrangement allows us to reach pretty much all European markets and beyond, in fact, into parts of the Middle East and North Africa, where these products, whilst being investigational medical products, can be made available to patients through traditional, as in health service routes, not just through private cannabis clinics. And what that means is we will gather data, we will gather patients, and we will gather sales as those products develop. So the program that we built with them is initially designed to cope with small numbers of patients, but also to ramp up to quite large numbers of patients as our medical dossiers and our route towards licensing fills in behind that. So it's quite an exciting development, and it's a step on the journey to becoming a fully pharma-based pharma company. Tim, I don't know if you want me to go on to talk about, in fact, really that development process. Would that be a good time to do that?
Sure. I mean, yeah, go for it.
Well, as we say, that initially through these early access programs, initially for Canapil, but also subsequently for Cognican, and of course, in time we have the ability to do that for other development products as they come through. I think the next 12 months, and certainly the 12 months beyond that, what you'll see is an increasingly medical-looking operation from MGC in terms of its supply and distribution, as I say, through hospitals and through NHS doctors and local experts in the fields of speciality that our compounds are targeted at. So whether that be refractory epilepsy, or whether that be moving into the dementia clinics, or ultimately with other compounds into oncology and treating brain tumors and the like, plus some other compounds that, as Robbie has said, we've looked at a million things, and as the company develops, we intend to become really a powerhouse in terms of that sector of the market. Very much a pharma company, very much focused on unmet medical need, and building these into proper fully licensed pharma brands that will, over many years and in fact decades to follow, will be the lifeblood of MGC as it develops into a full-scale international pharma company. Now that talks about Europe and the nearer territories, but we have similar plans for the rest of the world as well. As Robbie says, we have a strong interest in North America, and there are similar potentials in South America because of the nature of those as developing markets within this sector. So I think as we move forward, you'll see increased discipline. It's a long road for medicinal cannabis companies, but MGC are much further down that road than practically anybody I can think of, and that's why people such as Angela Marie, myself, and we have new MSL come on board, and we've got pharma discipline strongly in our Slovenian GMP facility now. So what you're seeing is a transition to the rigor and the necessity for good quality trial data, submitting that data, publishing that data, the nature of health economics, the nature of patient preference study, all these things. And we're all about meeting unmet medical need in a cost-effective way through a completely licensed and legitimate way of delivering these medicinal compounds and moving towards full MAs, really, in the end. So I think Tim, that's what I would have to say. I don't know, Robbie, if you wish to chip in any more on that, but I think that is where we're headed, and over the next year you'll see major steps towards that goal.
No, I think you summarize it really good. Again, the target of the company is to become a pharmaceutical company and generate the revenue with high margin on innovative medicine, where we can in the end also speak with health insurance and to work as a proper pharma company. And this is where the value is going to come. It's not a near-term business deal, but it's a very long-term with, and also as long as the business term, it's also the longest and largest the returns that it will have afterwards in the market.
Thanks, Robbie and Rob. Got time for a couple more questions. Robbie, on the change of Brett's role at the company.
Yes, as part of again, moving and to fitting to a proper British structure compliance. The role of the chairman as an executive chairman, as it was before, is not sitting in line with the corporate governance. The change of the role and the day-to-day duties of Brett Mitchell will not change, but the definition of the role from executive to non-executive is something that we had to implement. Moving forward, it will not affect anything of the operating of the company. We just reshape and structuring the company to fit the guideline and the companies that we want to be in a year from now. So if we want to be a pharmaceutical British company listed on the main market, we need to meet certain guidelines, and we will do so. So it was a technical change, and it's not affecting anything in the operating part of the company.
Okay, and last question we've got time for is an update on the Malta facility.
Okay, so the Malta facility, as we indicate, was construction completed, and it started with audited by the drug agency. We hope that by the end of the year we will complete all the audits, and early 2023 it will be start to produce commercial orders that already we are getting from United States. So at the moment the orders are being produced in Slovenia, and then they will move to Malta.
That's great. Let me jump in at that point, if I may. Robbie, Robert, Angela Marie, and Tim, thank you very much indeed for addressing those questions. And any questions we haven't had time to review, we'll make available to the company post today's call. Robbie, I know investor feedback is important to you and to the company, and I'll shortly redirect investors on the call to give you their feedback. But I wonder, before doing so, if I may, Robbie, just ask you for a few closing comments just to wrap up with.
Okay. Again, I don't have anything more to add beside what we say until now. We're looking forward, and we will take the company higher and bigger than it was now. Our target is to become a pharmaceutical company. We invested in our clinical portfolio. We brought the right people and the right team to do so. It's not just my work alone, but it's the work of all the officers and the board of directors around me. And I do believe that now we have the team and we have the right knowledge, the right formulations, the right IP to do this action.
That's great. Robbie, Robert, Angela Marie, thank you very much indeed for updating investors this morning. Can I please ask investors on this call not to close this session, as we'll now automatically redirect you for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the company can better understand your views and expectations. This may take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of MGC Pharmaceuticals, we'd like to thank you for attending this morning's webinar. That now concludes today's session, and I wish you all a very pleasant morning.
Thank you very much.